You won't believe what happened in the House of Commons last week. Someone used a word so offensive that pearls were clutched, knickers were twisted, and as the kids say, mad sus was had.
When will we put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister?
Mr. Poilievre, I'm going to ask the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to withdraw.
You can almost hear the collective, oh my, all the way past the Queensway. Now, I've had the honor to represent Regina-Qu'Appelle in the House of Commons for a few years now, including a term as Speaker of the House of Commons. And I can tell you that wacko doesn't even make the top 10 most outrageous insults that I've heard used in the chamber.
Put an end to this wacko policy by this wacko Prime Minister.
The Speaker couldn't stand it and kicked the Leader of the Opposition out of the chamber.
I order you to withdraw from the House and from any participation.
Then the media went into great detail, using lots of ink and lots of time on television, analyzing the word wacko and whether or not it was unparliamentary and whether or not it should have been used in the debate.
Would you say it's time for everyone to panic? Yes, I would, Ken.
And it got me thinking, never mind looking at the word that was used to describe the policy, let's take a look at the policy itself. Justin Trudeau legalized the use of hard drugs like meth, crack, and opioids in public places in British Columbia. That's the subject that was under debate that day. So instead of focusing on the word wacko itself, why don't we take a look at all the ways that Justin Trudeau is a wacko, way out there, an extremist? Because that's another word for wacko, isn't it? It's basically saying you're so far out there on the extreme fringes of public opinion or societal norms that you seem like a wacko. And if you've caught my video on Trudeauing, you know that one of the things that Justin Trudeau likes to do is accuse his opponents of the very thing he's guilty of himself. Now, I'm sure we can all agree that thinking that it's okay for someone to use meth in a maternity ward in a hospital where nurses have to treat other patients and go about their daily tasks, that would be wacko, that would be very extreme. But it's not just on drug policy that Justin Trudeau holds positions or views that are so far removed from the mainstream public opinion. It's on a whole host of issues, like on drugs, free speech, banning plastics, the carbon tax, his association with the World Economic Forum. But before we get into that, you know what's not extreme? Liking and subscribing to my channel. Only a wacko would watch this video and not like and subscribe. So do that now. Justin Trudeau's drug policy is way out there. We already talked a little bit about the fact that he legalized the use of hard drugs like meth, crack, opioids in public places. So bus stops, public transit itself, hospitals, parks. There are reports of dogs overdosing because they sniff a pile of drug residue on the grass.
A South Surrey man is warning other dog owners after his Labrador nearly died of a fentanyl overdose. The dog had to be revived with naloxone after somehow inhaling or ingesting the deadly drug while out for a walk.
This did not happen in Canada before Justin Trudeau was elected, but he systematically started to put in policies that made it easier to access drugs and took away tools from law enforcement to get drug users into the programs that they need to get help and to make our community safer for law-abiding Canadians. Making it legal to use these dangerous drugs in public places was not enough for Justin Trudeau. Because he's such an extremist, he went even further. He started using taxpayers' money to buy powerful narcotics and give them to drug users. And you know what happened? Those government-funded drugs were found all across Canada.
The Prince George RCMP say after a months-long investigation, it has seized over 10,000 pills, including prescription and non-prescription drugs.
That's because a person who picks up drugs at a government-run consumption site often turns around and sells them to other users, takes the money, and buys even more powerful narcotics. Just take a look at the impact. BC's safe supply drugs being sold by organized crime across Canada. Quote, organized crime groups are actively involved in the redistribution of safe supply and prescription drugs. That's from the RCMP. So this extreme and radical program by Justin Trudeau has the effect of increasing the amount of dangerous drugs on our streets. That's wacko. Now, after the BC NDP government realized that they were plummeting in the polls and that British Columbians were sick and tired of this drug policy, they did a massive reversal, asked Justin Trudeau to reverse his decision and make this use illegal again.
The request to the federal government is essentially recriminalization of the possession or use of illicit drugs in public spaces, period.
But don't be fooled. Justin Trudeau still believes in this policy. He said that decriminalization is still a tool that his government will look at in the future. Before we get into some more domestic issues, there's another point I want to make about Justin Trudeau's radical extremism, and that's his government's relation to the World Economic Forum.
There's enormous opportunity and enormous potential in that realization.
I could do a whole video on all the wacko ideas the World Economic Forum advocates for. All you need to know is Chrystia Freeland, Justin Trudeau's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, sits on the board of the World Economic Forum. So let's just take a look at a few of their greatest wacko hits. Own nothing, be happy. Eating bugs. Digital currencies. 15-minute cities. The list goes on and on. These are not conspiracy theories. These are policies or proposals that the WEF has published on its own website. It's right there in black and white and full color for you to see. Nobody wants this. That's why the elites are trying to impose it top down. If they were good ideas, the people themselves would be demanding it, but they're not because they're fringe and extreme. Now, conservative policies are, in contrast to Trudeau, much more mainstream. Take crime, for example. Conservatives believe that dangerous and repeat offenders should face meaningful consequences so that you can live your life in safety, so that you don't have to worry about your kids playing at the park or about getting mugged when you're done your shift at the end of the day. Now, conservatives believe in important principles like rehabilitation, diversion, and helping people get out of a life of crime and back to being productive members of society. But if someone commits the same crime over and over again, especially violent offenses, that person needs to be kept away from all the people who are following the laws and being peaceful. That's a very common sense, mainstream approach. But Justin Trudeau doesn't think so. Justin Trudeau actually ordered judges to grant bail, even for some of the most prolific, habitual, and violent offenders. So many crimes today are being committed by people who are out on bail. Rather than spending time in custody before their trial, they're given a free pass. It's called the Catch and Release Program. And police forces across the country have raised the alarm, saying this is a big part of the reason why there's an increase in violent crime across Canada.
He opened my car door and then I tried to stop him, so I was like, hey, what are you doing? Get out, get out.
Seth Packer did not get out of the car, but after strike 1, strike 2, and strike 3, he did get out of jail.
He was released into the community, and it's unfortunate, but the decision isn't up to the police, only to then break and enter into somebody's home, steal their wallet, and attempt to conduct another carjacking.
Packer was arrested a third time here in the 1900 block of Richardson Street Tuesday night. 3 incidents in 3 consecutive days. A total of 9 charges.
And what does Justin Trudeau do in response? He doubles down and defends his radical, extremist, and wacko policy of letting violent and dangerous offenders back out on the street with easy bail. And when they do go to jail, when they are actually sentenced to prison, what does prison look like for some of Canada's most notorious and horrific killers? Paul Bernardo is not just a murderer. He is a demonic killer who brutally and horrifyingly killed young girls at the prime of their life. My colleague Frank Caputo did an excellent video doing a deep dive into the luxurious lifestyle that some of Canada's worst killers enjoy serving their time. Only someone with an extreme and radical ideology would think it's okay to let violent killers like Paul Bernardo and Luca Magnotta serve out their sentences in a life of luxury. Let's take a look at Justin Trudeau's favorite policy, his carbon tax. He loves the carbon tax. He knows the pain it's inflicting on Canadians. That's why he had to grant a carve-out to only some people in some parts of the country. It's driven up food prices. It's driving up gasoline prices. It's causing a great deal of hardship and misery. And here is Justin Trudeau's position. It's not high enough. Justin Trudeau's position is to quadruple the carbon tax. Now, recent polling has shown that 80% of Canadians reject Justin Trudeau's plan to increase the carbon tax. But he's not bothered by that. He doesn't care that mainstream opinion is opposed to his radical agenda, and he's going to plow ahead and keep hiking that carbon tax. Quadrupling the carbon tax in the middle of a cost of living crisis over the objection of 80% of Canadians, that is extreme, radical, and wacko. I could list all the ways that Justin Trudeau is a radical extremist on so many policies that affect your life, but that would be like a 2-hour video. Now, I'm going to keep this video focused on his policies and his positions, and not unpack all the ways that Justin Trudeau is a wacko on a personal level. And I'm okay doing that at some point. But for now, very quickly, other examples of Justin Trudeau's extreme position. Saying no to our international allies when they come to Canada, begging to buy our clean, ethical LNG, banning plastic across the country, controlling free speech and regulating more and more of what you're allowed to see and say online. Those are not mainstream positions held by the vast majority of Canadians. Those are the extreme, radical views of a dangerous ideologue intent on imposing his vision for the country over the objection of common sense voters. Let's come back here. What's more dangerous to Canada? A word like wacko being used to describe Trudeau's policies? Or the policies themselves that cause so much hardship for Canadians? So the next time the Speaker of the House of Commons kicks out a Conservative for using a word like wacko to describe Justin Trudeau, or the mainstream media lose their collective minds analyzing whether wacko is parliamentary or not.
Professor, without knowing precisely what the danger is, would you say it's time for our viewers to crack each other's heads open and feast on the goo inside? Yes, I would, Ken.
Pay attention to the policies themselves. And the next time Justin Trudeau calls someone else an extremist or radical or representing the fringe, never forget, he's the radical, he's the extremist, he's the wacko. And as always, thanks for watching.